Good morning, friends. Welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So, guys, we are about to start the session. The PDF for today's session has been uploaded. You can download the PDF from our Telegram group. So, PDF हमने start down upload कर दिया है. You can download the PDF. Okay. So, like we are starting new public administration courses as well. So, those who are interested, they can join PubAd as their optional. So here we are connected and live, and let's start the session without wasting much time. Okay. So Mohit Bansal, Samreen, Bapan Das, Aisha, Asif, Piyush Kumar. Good morning all. Okay, Bhaskar, Yashwani, good morning. चलिए. So let's start the session without wasting much time. सीधा अखबार को देखते हैं क्या है हमारे पास खास आज के न्यूज़पेपर में. So here we have, this is your first page talking about Omicron scare grounds the international flight plan. Okay, so recently the government was about to open up the international flights. 15th of December से होना था, and now it has been like idea has been dropped because we have to make sure that Indian economy always remain protected from COVID, and this variant, okay, is really very problem creating. Guys, there is one another news that I have seen today. Okay, it might not be there in the newspaper, लेकिन एक news है which is saying that Covaxin, it is effective against Omicron. Okay, so Covaxin is effective against Omicron. This is what has been reported by ICMR. तो ICMR ने ये कुछ बोला है कि कोवैक्सीन जो है वो इफेक्टिव होगी. सो इट इज़ अ यू कैन से इट इज़ अ गुड डेवलपमेंट. ओके, गुड इन द सेंस already we have the production in line. So maybe like if in the coming time there is any trouble because of Omicron, we might be able to help us ourselves as well as the whole world. Okay, so अभी तो ये कहानी चल रही है, but still we have to wait and watch क्या इस पे बात आगे होगी. Right now it is important that the old time of lockdown, okay, so it should not come. वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं आना चाहिए because it is going to create trouble for our economy, and our economy is just on the, you can say, on the path of revival. Okay, we are already reviving our economy, and definitely we don't want this thing to happen because when your economy is slowing down, जब आप business नहीं कर रहे होते हो, specifically the informal sector, okay, and the vulnerable section of the society, तो जो लोग vulnerable हैं society के अंदर, उनके ऊपर सबसे बड़ा असर पड़ता है इसका. वी हैव सीन व्हाट हैपेंड ड्यूरिंग द माइग्रेंट क्राइसिस. So we don't want to repeat that thing again. So, okay, this is the news and this is what we should know here. Now we'll move to the next news here. Now GST collection surge in November. So this is, you can say, a positive thing. Okay, काफ़ी जो है पॉजिटिव चीज़ है यहाँ पे कि जीएसटी का कलेक्शन आपका बढ़ा है. एंड द रीज़न कुड बी दिस टाइम on this festive season we didn't have a lockdown. Festive season हमारा ठीक ठाक चल गया था. There were sectors like automobile sector, okay, वहाँ पे इतनी खास reporting नहीं थी. Automobile sector, it was majorly impacted, and specifically the two wheelers, okay, specifically the two wheelers and the cheap four wheelers, सस्ते वाले four wheelers, okay, so those were majorly impacted. Now this was the point. There is another picture to it. If you talk about the premium two wheelers, जो महंगे वाले हाईबूसा, हार्ले डेविडसन, ओके, दो सेगमेंट, वो सेगमेंट के अंदर जो है इतना स्लो डाउन नहीं था. दैट सेगमेंट वाज फाइन. इट हैड अ यू कैन से डिसेंट परफॉर्मेंस. ओके, सो हाई एंडेड जो प्रीमियम सेक्शन है आपका, ऑन द प्रीमियम सेक्शन द यू कैन से दैट देयर वाज नॉट मच इशू. दैट्स वन पॉइंट हियर. Specifically in the case with four wheelers as well, in the premium section there was not much problem. Now who buys the premium bikes and premium cars? Okay, rich section, जो अमीर हैं वो खरीदते हैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना, प्रीमियम कार और प्रीमियम बाइक्स वो लेके आएंगे. टू व्हीलर्स low graded, it will be bought by middle income group. Okay, वो लोग जिनकी इनकम इतनी ज्यादा नहीं है, say 20 to 30,000 per month. Now we have seen that how due to lockdown, how due to economic slowdown, there were wage cuts, there were unemployment. Okay, there was unemployment. So that's why you have to understand it has a direct impact on our economy. And when we say we should have gone for V-shaped economy, V-shape में क्या होता, जो रिकवरी होती वो एकदम यूनिफॉर्म होती. ओके, अगर हम V-shape की बात करें तो रिकवरी आपकी यूनिफॉर्म होती, बट दिस वाज नॉट द केस. वी हैव सीन कि इवन विद इन द ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री इतना वेरिएशन था. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी से दैट इन इंडियन सिस्टम वी हैड अ के शेप्ड रिकवरी. तो हमारी रिकवरी जो है वो के शेप्ड हो रही है. सो दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन वी शेप्ड एंड के शेप्ड. K shape tells that the recovery is not uniform even across, even within the sectors. Okay, बाहर के सेक्टर तो आप छोड़ जाओ, even within the sector the recovery is not uniform. That's the point here. So no doubt our GST collection is increasing. Okay, काफी जो है अच्छी चीज है कि GST आप अच्छा कलेक्ट कर रहे हो, रेवेन्यू गवर्नमेंट के पास आ रहा है. Already the government has earned near about 3.7 lakh crore from petrol and diesel sale. Okay, दो जो एक्साइज ड्यूटी इन्होंने बढ़ाई थी, एक साल में 3.7 लाख करोड़ के अराउंड जो है उनके पास पैसा आया है. सो इट्स अ ह्यूज अमाउंट. ओके, सो दैट्स व्हाई दे आर एबल टू फंड दिस योर कोविड वैक्सीन होल स्कीम. इट्स अ गुड थिंग, गवर्नमेंट शुड गेट रेवेन्यू. ओके, एंड दिस इज द साइन दैट योर इकोनॉमी इज रिवाइविंग. In this scenario we cannot afford to have another lockdown. So guys, it is important for us, हमारे लिए भी important है that we do wear mask. Okay, that we do wear mask. This is not the time for carelessness, this is the time to be careful. Okay, so that's why this is what we had here in this news. Other than that there is nothing much. Now Bengaluru shows next, says Kunal Kamra. So this is what is happening. Okay, see, there is something called freedom of expression. Okay, freedom of expression. So what is the basic principle behind this idea? Why fundamental rights? Okay, we say that fundamental rights are there, fundamental rights are protected. Okay, everything is fine. There can be a disagreement, please pay attention. There can be a disagreement, but even in discussion, suppose I am in disagreement with some other person, it is my responsibility that his or her right of freedom of speech and expression is protected. ये मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि सामने वाला अगर क्रिटिसाइज भी कर रहा है तो भी आई विल रिस्पेक्ट हिज राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. दैट्स द इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट हियर. ओके, सो यू माइट बी डिसएग्री विद योर ओपोनेंट, डिसएग्रीमेंट इज बाउंड टू बी देयर. ओके, आप मेरे साथ डिबेट कर सकते हो, हम लोग डिसएग्री हो सकते हैं, बट मैं आउटराइटली ये नहीं कहूंगा कि आप गलत और आपके बोलने का हक नहीं है, दैट यू आर रॉन्ग एंड यू शुड नॉट स्पीक. आई कैन नॉट से दैट. Okay, so this is what is happening. Like in a way the dissent has been curbed. जो भी गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट हैं उनको दबाया जा रहा है. This should not be done. Disagreement is going to be there. This is democracy. Democracy is about debate, discussion, and tolerance is important part of it. Okay, you should be tolerant towards others' point of view. That's the important part. This is how, if this is there, then we can say that Indian society is democratic. ये सिर्फ वोट देने से डेमोक्रेसी नहीं बनती है. It's about the values, it's about the principles that we follow in our life. How open you are towards the others' point of view, towards their way of life. Okay, वो सारी चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है यहाँ पे. So this is what is happening here, that freedom of expression, freedom of speech has been curbed. Okay, in a designed way. This is not the first time his shows has been cancelled, his show has been cancelled. This has happened multiple times, बहुत साल पहले हो चुका है. So एक डिजाइन चल रहा है, like it should not be done. Okay, ideally. So आपका disagreement होगा, लेकिन you should still respect the other person's right to freedom of speech. Okay, वो आपको करना जरूरी है, ठीक है ना. So this is the important point of democracy. Now we'll move to the editorial section. So this is the TMC is playing T20 आप a test match. Okay, so highly political, like you can say editorial, but it is pointing about one thing, that your opposition is divided. आपका opposition जो है वो divided है. Now weak and divided opposition, please pay attention. Weak and divided opposition. So this is what the government will love. आपकी गवर्नमेंट जो है वो यही तो चाहेगी, that there will be no criticism, no parliamentary debate, nothing, and they will do whatever they want, and this is what is happening here. Okay, so but how will you make your opposition strong? So in democracy people are supreme, so it is up to the people to decide. Okay, जनता decide करेगी कि क्या है. Other than that, your opposition, like what is the problem with them? The major problem is them that they don't have a you can say personality which can counter Modi government right now. Modi government, like Modi ji, is definitely a charismatic leader. So this is what they have to explore. So for us, for our betterment as a citizen, we need to have a strong opposition. And even the government in power, they should also respect whatever opposition they have. जितना भी opposition हो, 2-3 सीट का, उनको भी respect देना बनता है. Okay, so this is what is important here. Now we'll move to the next editorial. In border standoff, a manufactured refugee crisis. Okay, so this is the important development that is taking place in Europe. आपको एक चीज ध्यान रखनी है, यूरोप में क्या चल रहा है. So we will be covering up with maps. Okay, I have included some maps here. So we will look into this particular part. Let's look into the editorial, what it is pointing out. Okay, so this issue concerning the European Union, Poland, Belarus, Russia, Ukraine subserves the aspect of their foreign domestic agenda. So you need to understand there are two major issues that are going on. So first major issue is between Ukraine and Russia. So this is your Ukraine and this is your Russia. Okay, so here we have this dark part, blue part. Now this part of Ukraine, it has a population which speaks Russian. वो रशियन बोलते हैं, ठीक है ना, रशियन स्पीकिंग पॉपुलेशन इज देयर राइट नाउ. व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? इट हैज बीन रिपोर्टेड दैट इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया in the border, Russia has amassed its forces. Russia ने बहुत सारी अपनी forces वहां लाके खड़ी कर ली हैं. And when Russia, like that big country, is looking forward with this amassing of forces, definitely डर तो लगेगा. So one brigadier of Ukraine, he has said that by January Russia might invade Ukraine, या शायद इस एरिया में कब्जा कर ले, and Russia can do it. So this is the region that you should look into, this island. Okay, this is Crimea. This is Crimea. Now earlier this was part of Ukraine, but in 2013 Russia captured it. Russia ने इसके ऊपर कब्जा कर लिया था. Okay, now same fear is appearing in this part as well. Why this region is important? Region is important because of the resources. वहाँ काफी सारे resources हैं. Okay, ये भी एक एंगल एक्सप्लोर किया जा रहा है. So that's why this is the development between Ukraine and Russia. There is another development taking place, okay, which is between Poland and Belarus. Now Belarus enjoys military ties with Russia. Belarus का रशिया के साथ military tie है, ठीक है, military alliance है. So this is the arrangement. In the same way, Poland is part of North Atlantic Treaty Organization. ये NATO का part है. Now what is happening? From Belarus, refugees are entering Poland. Okay, from Belarus, refugees are entering Poland, and that's why it is creating a trouble in the border area. It is creating a trouble in the border area. Okay, so these are two developments that are taking place in Europe, and this is how it is impacting the peace and the political stability of Europe. Now, what is the whole angle? Let's look into this in detail. So right now they are saying that tensions have flared up between Eastern Europe, like Belarusian-Polish border. We know this particular part. In the same way, like the tension is also there between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so these are the problems that are emerging, and we know that how Belarus is like allowing refugees to go to other parts. Okay, बाकी जगहों पे जाना allow कर रहे हैं, and that's why it is a concern for other European countries. Okay, they are not happy with this development. Now Belarus President Lukashenko, he is having good relations with Russia. Like already Belarus is under sanctions by European Union. Already they are under sanction. Okay, so Belarus has economic and military alliance with Russia. Like effectively Russians, they are the last hope for them. Okay, और Russians जो हैं वो बिल्कुल ये चाहेंगे कि Belarus should never fall into the hands of European Union and be part of NATO. कि Belarus भी NATO का part बन जाए. Russia बिल्कुल नहीं चाहता, and that's why they are working as a team right now. This is the whole design which is developing there. Okay, so we know that how refugee crisis has been flared up. कैसे चीजें चल रही हैं वहां पे. Okay, now politicians in the West and East Europe accuses Moscow as instigator of the crisis. So whatever crisis is going on, ठीक है ना, सब लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि like Russia is behind all these things. Whether it is between Ukraine and Russia, definitely Russia is their direct entity here. Between what is happening in Belarus and Poland, they are saying that it is also being carried out at the behest of Russia. ये सारा गेम चल रहा है, ठीक है. There is another angle to it. What do Russian says? Russian says that we are being instigated. Okay, you are making us angry. क्यों आप हमें angry कर रहे हो? Because these European countries, they don't want this Nord Stream to be successful. Nord Stream is about a network of gas pipeline. एक गैस पाइपलाइन का नेटवर्क है ये. Okay, so Russians are saying that like they are doing it because दे डोंट वांट दिस थिंग टू बी सक्सेसफुल. वो इस चीज को सक्सेसफुल नहीं होना चाहते. ठीक है ना. नॉर्ड स्ट्रीम इज अ नेटवर्क ऑफ गैस पाइपलाइन. So this is the whole angle, this is the whole politics that is being played. Now there is another important thing. Russia says that in 2015 there was a Minsk agreement. Minsk agreement क्या कहता है? That conflict in Donbass region. So this region is known as Donbass. Okay, the blue one. So Minsk agreement says that the conflict in Donbass region will end as Ukraine has to provide decentralization. Okay, some sort of autonomy has to be provided. यूक्रेन को कुछ ऑटोनॉमी देनी पड़ेगी, कुछ डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन करना पड़ेगा, कुछ पावर्स देनी पड़ेंगी टू द डनबास रीजन. ओके, बिकॉज ऑफ इट्स ओन रिक्वायरमेंट. दे हैव अ डिफरेंट एथनिसिटी इन डनबास. आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट दिस पार्ट. मेजरली रशियन स्पीकिंग पीपल आर लिविंग देयर. सो दिस इज द होल डेवलपमेंट, दिस इज द होल सिनेरियो. ये इस टाइप की चीजें चल रही हैं. एंड दैट्स व्हाई राइट नाउ द डिफरेंसेस आर ऑन, बिकॉज रशियंस आर सेइंग दैट यूक्रेनियंस दे आर नॉट रिस्पेक्टिंग दिस एग्रीमेंट. जो मिन्स्क एग्रीमेंट हुआ था उसको ये रिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं. ठीक है ना. सो दैट्स व्हाई दीज डेवलपमेंट्स आर टेकिंग प्लेस हियर. वी हैव ऑलरेडी सीन व्हाट इज हैपनिंग बिटवीन पोलैंड एंड बेलारूस. ओके, सो दिस इज अनदर इशू दैट इज emerging here. Now in this particular scenario there comes another important entity, that is United States, because US is a, you can say, kingpin of North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and Russians, they are not happy with them. So Russians have said that we have drawn these red lines. Okay, so if NATO countries they are going to cross it, definitely there will be some consequence for them. So ये सारा गेम अभी रशिया में चल रहा है, इन एंड स्पेसिफिकली बिटवीन यूक्रेन एंड रशिया. सो वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच हाउ थिंग्स मूव अहेड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन. ओके, कब तक ऐसा चलेगा, ठीक है ना. वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच. सो ये सब चलेंगे चीजें. सो आप इसके ऊपर क्लोज आई रखना, लाइक यू हैव टू कीप अ क्लोज आई ओवर इट. ओके, सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग देयर. नाउ अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट वी हैव टू मूव टू अदर एडिटोरियल which is talking about a capital functioning from different region. Okay, so you should know about this thing. Andhra Pradesh is exploring 3 different capitals. Okay, so right now which state has different capital? Okay, so this is not the first state to have a multiple cities as their capital. So हमारे यहाँ पे like earlier there used to be Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so they used to have their capital in Srinagar and other is in Jammu. Okay, इस type का कोई arrangement था that winter capital will be Jammu and the summer capital will be Srinagar. So in case of, you can say, Maharashtra, you talk about, there are 3 major centers which are quite popular. One is Mumbai, one is Nagpur. Okay, so these are the centers which are there. ठीक है ना. so वहाँ पे भी डिवीजन है. सेम इज द केस विद मध्य प्रदेश एज वेल. नाउ डिविजन्स आर डिवाइडेड. सो भोपाल इज द कैपिटल, बट सम ऑफ द थिंग्स आर देयर इन जबलपुर. ओके, काफी चीजें जबलपुर में हैं एंड काफी चीजें ग्वालियर में हैं. स्पेसिफिकली द हाई कोर्ट. ओके, हाई कोर्ट ऐसे डिवाइडेड है. सेम केस विद सपोज से यूपी. नाउ हाई कोर्ट इज इन इलाहाबाद. यूपी हाई कोर्ट जो है वो इलाहाबाद में है, कैपिटल इज लखनऊ. ओके, so this is how, this is not the first time that administrative units are divided among different states. We have other examples as well. ठीक है ना. so ये तो एक स्टेट के अंदर मल्टीपल कैपिटल्स हो गई. so you have Chandigarh as an example where 2 different states, Punjab and Haryana, both are sharing a same city as their capital. Okay, now this is another type of arrangement. So this is the centralization, example of centralization, that 2 states they are having one capital. This is centralization. भाई 2 मिलके ये कैपिटल बना रहे हो. Another, these are the examples of decentralization, whether one state is having multiple cities as their capital. अब इसके फायदे और नुकसान दोनों होते हैं. So those particular things are part of this editorial, that what is the benefit of these particular thing and why there is a case in Andhra Pradesh to have multiple capitals. Okay, so you have to look into this. Now Andhra Pradesh Decentralization and Inclusive Development of All Regions Repeal Bill 2021, aiming at repeal the earlier law that stipulated a 3 capital plan for state. It was passed by Andhra Pradesh Assembly on November 2020 2021. Okay, now it has been repealed. अब ये क्या चल रहा है देखो. The current government would like to introduce a comprehensive, complete and better bill afresh to look into this part, that how they should facilitate inclusive Andhra Pradesh with decentralized arena of governance. देखो इसको decentralized क्यों कह रहे हैं हम. Andhra Pradesh is relatively a bigger state. So I will take an example of say Haryana. Okay. Now every office is located in Chandigarh or in Panchkula. That's the picture that we have here. Now suppose if a person is living in Hisar, which is part of southern Haryana, for every minor issue they have to travel 250 to 260 kilometers. Okay. हर छोटी बड़ी चीज के लिए 250 किलोमीटर चल के आना पड़ता है. In case of Andhra Pradesh, if you have a centralized capital, it will be near about 400 kilometers. Okay, ये 400 किलोमीटर हो जाएगा. Now, instead of having this particular arrangement, say take example of Haryana, let's develop Hisar as another area of governance. कुछ एक ऑफिस वहां पे भी खोल दो. गवर्नेंस प्रोवाइड करने का मतलब है उसको डिसेंट्रलाइज करना. देयर कैन बी मल्टीपल ऑफिसेस. सेम डिपार्टमेंट का एक हेडक्वार्टर होने की बजाय देयर कैन बी टू हेडक्वार्टर्स. We can have that arrangement. Okay, so that's the idea of decentralized governance. That is taking your governance, taking your government nearer to the people. जनता के पास पहुंच जाओगे आप. Okay, nearer to people. It is about facilitating people. It is about facilitating people. Now there is another angle to it that you have to explore. What is the present picture in say Andhra Pradesh? Okay, so if you talk about development, okay, development in that region is already not uniform. पूरे आंध्र प्रदेश में भी यूनिफॉर्म नहीं है. देर आर एरियाज विच आर ट्राइबल एरिया है यहाँ पे. ओके, दे हैव देयर ओन अरेंजमेंट, दे हैव देयर ओन रिक्वायरमेंट्स. दैट्स वन पार्ट. देयर इज अनदर एरिया विच इज कोस्टल एरिया. वो कोस्टल एरिया है. Coastal area will have its own requirement. Okay, so looking into these particular aspects, looking into the requirements of different regions, it has been suggested to have different capitals. What is the importance of having a capital? Now एक चीज आपको समझे, जहां कैपिटल होती है, it means that there are chances that it will attract investment. वहां पे इन्वेस्टमेंट भी ज्यादा होगा. Okay, infrastructure will be strengthened because government will be focusing in that area. सरकार का पूरा फोकस होगा वहां पे. You pick up any country, any state in India, the capital will be having decent infrastructure. कोई भी उठा के देख लो स्टेट, पुअर स्टेट भी उठा के देख लो. ओके, ओडिशा इट मे हैव सम ऑफ द इश्यूज, बट यू लुक इनटू द भुवनेश्वर, वेरी गुड कैपिटल, बहुत अच्छा बनाया हुआ है. सो सेम इज द केस विद झारखंड. रांची इज रियली गुड सिटी. छत्तीसगढ़, Raipur is really good city. Okay, so you need to understand this thing. Having a capital means that you will facilitate a focus which will attract investment. Infrastructure अच्छा होगा. So right now Telangana, like the Andhra Pradesh, if you look into, Andhra Pradesh is already having an uneconomic, you can say uneven socio-economic development. There are different regions. So one region is Rayalaseema region. Okay, that is in southwest, comprising of Chittoor, Kadapa, Anantapur district, Kurnool district. Okay, it has dismal development indices, मतलब काफी poor performance है. There is another center which is around Vishakhapatnam. Okay, so Vizianagaram or Vishakhapatnam, that is another area. They are relatively better. थोड़ा जो है वहाँ पे इनसे थोड़ा अच्छा होगा, but they have some forest tracts, tribal belts है वहाँ पे. So that's why, like different regions, they have their own requirement. There are inadequate socio-physical infrastructure, low employment opportunities. Okay, in coastal Andhra Pradesh, if you talk about, there are 9 districts. They are better developed. Coastal Andhra के district जो है वो काफी ज़्यादा developed है. Okay, so that's why it is pointed out that there is sort of a regional imbalance within the Andhra Pradesh itself. So it has been suggested that to deal with this imbalance, let's have multiple cities. अब बात ऐसी आती है कि किन को सिलेक्ट करेंगे. ओके, हाउ विल यू सिलेक्ट इट? सो कमेटी वाज फॉर्म्ड. Government choose to ignore the recommendation of committee. Now committee was formed, but they neglected the recommendations and selected area of Vijayawada, okay, as a capital. Area of Vijayawada is being selected, but committee has said that this is unsuitable. That area is unsuitable for capital development. Why? So you need to understand, they are saying that this area is part of flood plains of Krishna river and it supports fertile agricultural land. The soil is not suitable, not conducive for construction of such a mass scale. इतने बड़े लेवल पे आप वहां पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं बना सकते. This is the practical problem that has been pointed out. But still government is choosing it. Okay. Now when it comes to decentralized development, so there are multiple things that have been done. So 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, we already know it is in line with the decentralization of governance. Okay, that is taking your administration nearer to the people by strengthening the local government. वो उस चीज के लिए किया गया था, ठीक है ना? So distribution of capital functions to several locations is one of the way of decontrolling the development. Okay, that you allow things to be there, handing powers to be on the ground. कि आपने डेवलपमेंट को डिसेंट्रलाइज कर दिया. एंड दिस इज द इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग बिकॉज दिस इज आंध्र प्रदेश इज नॉट द फर्स्ट स्टेट टू हैव दिस. ओके, सो another the point is that we have in Maharashtra, so you have Mumbai, Pune, Nagpur. Okay, different functions have been performed, there are different centers. So another committee has been formed to look into the balanced development, and they have also said that you can have multiple capitals because it definitely helps. बिल्कुल help करता है. And in line with that, the development of Amravati has been, you can say, slowed down. So earlier government, they were focusing primarily on Amravati. Now it has been, you can say, temporarily slowed down, और अमरावती में डेवलपमेंट वगैरह थोड़ा धीरा कर दिया इन्होंने, and they are exploring these multiple capitals. Okay, but how will they implement it? That's the important challenge, because sometimes it can create confusion as well. Confusion भी create होगा. Okay, so government have to come out with a law. That's why they are saying that we will come out with a new law and we will remove all these confusion. It's a really important thing to do. Okay, otherwise ऐसी खिचड़ी बनेगी और कुछ भी नहीं हो पाएगा. Now there is another editorial which is regarding errors of judgment. So this is regarding a horrific judgment by Allahabad High Court. Okay, so Allahabad High Court has pointed out like a few things. Okay, now it is about POXO Act. It is about POXO Act, some of the provisions of POXO Act. This is not the first time it has been misused. Okay, earlier Mumbai High Court, there was one judge, she also gave a error judgment. Okay, now in this particular case, the judgment is obnoxious on the ground that, so despite quoting the relevant sections of this POXO Act about aggraved penetrative sexual assault. Okay, so the problem is around the definition of aggraved penetrative sexual assault. अब हाई कोर्ट इसको अपने हिसाब से इंटरप्रेट करता है, ठीक है ना? एंड हाई कोर्ट सेज दैट ओरल सेक्स, okay, oral sex is not considered to be in line with definition of aggraved penetrative sexual act. वो ये कहते हैं कि ओरल सेक्स जो है वो अग्रेव्ड पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल एक्ट के लाइन में नहीं है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट गेव द जजमेंट एंड कन्विक्शन वाज डन बट विद लेसर पनिशमेंट. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस रीजन, बिकॉज दे सेड दैट ये पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्स की डेफिनेशन के अंडर नहीं आएगा, सो दे हैव रिड्यूस्ड द पनिशमेंट यहां पे कम कर दी गई है. ओके, this is how it creates a problem. Now this POXO Act, it was enacted specifically to protect children from offenses of sexual assault, sexual harassment, pornography. Okay, इन चीजों से बचाने के लिए था. And the way our courts are interpreting it, it is really problem creating. Okay, definitely the matter will go to Supreme Court. On the Mumbai High Court, Bombay High Court judgment, Supreme Court ने बहुत लताड़ लगाई थी. Supreme Court was not happy with that judgment. Same thing is going to happen in this case as well. Okay, so they are saying that, like, in the absence of any ambiguity of language used in section 5 about the definition of aggraved penetrative sexual assault, there was no reason for court to deviate from law and award lesser punishment. कोई reason ही नहीं था उनके पास. Sexual assault means sexual assault. How can you differentiate between like penetrative sex and oral sex? ये क्या मतलब तरीका बना रखा है? Okay, so there is a thing called spirit of law. Spirit of the law is for the protection of child. That should be the guiding principle for our judiciary. But यहाँ पे अजीब judgments दे रहे हैं. Okay, so Supreme Court will definitely like quash this judgment and it will be turned. तो Bombay High Court में भी ऐसा हुआ था. ठीक है ना. So this is how, sometimes our judiciary also, it is creating trouble. So we'll move to the next news, which is about 1160 elephants killed in a decade. Okay, so it is showing some of the sad state, and there are multiple reasons why these elephants are losing their life. Okay, so no doubt the government has done a lot for the protection of elephant. We have project elephant that is running. Okay, वो सब हम कर रहे हैं. India's performance is also good. Okay, on the protection of elephant हमने अच्छा खासा perform किया है. There is no doubt about it. Okay, but the thing is that sometimes we should know that how, what is the major issue. One of the reason is that man elephant conflict. Okay, man animal conflict, and in this case man elephant conflict is on rise. Okay, is on rise because of multiple reasons, like we are encroaching upon their land. Okay, we humans, we are taking away their land for animals. That's the point here. We are cutting down jungles. Okay, हम जंगल को काट रहे हैं, and that's why the chances of man animal conflict is increasing, and elephant is definitely a bigger elephant, and they need large area. Okay, for their survival. But there are multiple reasons that have been pointed out. One of the reason is due to electrocution. Okay, this is one reason that has been pointed out. Other reason is due to train accidents. Next reason is by poachers. Okay, that killing them for their हाथी दांत, ठीक है ना, आइवरी, उसके लिए भी मारा जाता है. So this is how the problem is. Another problem is elephants are dying because of poison. Now why poison is done? See, farmers, okay, they have to protect their crops, so they sometimes they poison the elephants. So these are some of the reasons that have been pointed out, and you should know about these particular points. Okay, different states, they are performing differently, but things are not good. If this is the case, 1160 big elephants, they have been killed. So this is a huge number. Okay, so government have to do something to reduce this down. इसको फर्दर रिड्यूस करने की ज़रूरत है हमें, ठीक है ना. सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट इज देयर. इट वॉन्ट बी एन ईजी टास्क, ईजी नहीं होगा. वी नीड टू हैव मोर प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया. Okay, you have to come out with more protected areas, and apart from that there is one important element that is important, that is your sensitivity of the people. Okay, लोग कितने sensitive हैं elephant को लेके, that's the important part. So elephant, it is having a cultural significance as well. So हमारे देश में it is having a cultural significance. You cannot undermine. Okay, so we know that, we know these particular part. People, they worship elephant and all. Okay, so that's why it is important that we do something, and we can use our cultural element, our religious element to create sensitivity among people. उसके थ्रू हम ये कर सकते हैं. So this is the point. Other than that, there is nothing much. Okay, so winter in North India to be warmer than normal. This is what IMD is pointing out. They are not coming out with the reasons for that. Multiple reasons could be there. Okay, they are saying that this time there won't be any cold wave, but अभी ठीक ठाक ठंड है. ये बोल रहे हैं कि कोल्ड वेव यहाँ पे नहीं आएगी. सो वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच कैसा यहाँ रहता है. Other than that, there is nothing much on this particular page. We'll move to the next part. Now, UP reports most UAPA arrests. Okay, so here we are talking about Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So it is said that police, they misuse this UAPA Act. Okay, so there are multiple reasons police is misusing it. Okay, other reason is that this is misused to curb the dissent. Okay, अगर आपके अगेंस्ट कोई बोल रहा है तो डिसेंट को दबाने के लिए आप इसका यूज करोगे. एंड वी नो दैट योगी गवर्नमेंट इज रियली स्ट्रिक्ट. सो दिस इज व्हाट दे आर पॉइंटिंग आउट. यूएपीए के अंडर ऐसा हो रहा है. सो नेशन वाइड 1321 people, they have been booked under UAPA. Now if you are booking a person, if the charge sheet is made under UAPA, it creates trouble in the sense like there can be a chance of arrest. सीधा arrest होगा पहली बात तो, कभी कभी bail भी नहीं मिलती है. Okay, so maybe a person moved to court. अब मैं court चला भी जाऊँ, suppose like I am saying something against the government and Unlawful Activities Prevention Act has been imposed against me. I will be imprisoned even if I'll go to court. It will be a harassment for me. एक बार तो मेरा harassment हो जाएगा ना. Okay, so that's the major problem here. So this is how it is being misused. Okay, so other than that there is nothing much. So tight curbs prove costly for flyers. Okay, so there are some mandatory tests that are being carried out और वो flyers के लिए थोड़ा महंगा पड़ रहा है. ठीक है ना. So these are the things that are happening right now, but still we have to do it for our own protection. हमारे लिए यही हमें करना पड़ेगा. So India joins G20 Trioca with Indonesia and Italy. Okay. So this is the other development that is taking place. So you should know that next G20 meeting will be in India. Okay. So ये बातचीत चल रही है how the presidency has to be handed over to India. Next 2022 में इंडिया में होगी बात. Okay. So the vision, you can say the overall tagline for that summit will be recover together, recover stronger. So when India will host this particular G20 summit, the tagline, the theme will be recover together, recover stronger. Okay. So this is the important thing that is happening right now. Okay, before moving to that part, let's look into this news. Now, bill to regulate IVF clinics passed in Lok Sabha. This is the important development. This bill was also pending. Okay, important in the sense the question can be framed in your GS paper 3. सीधा सवाल वहां पे पूछ सकते हैं आपसे, because like it is about assisted reproductive technology regulation bill 2020. Okay, which is talking about registering, like having a national registry and registration authority for all clinics. जितने भी इन विट्रो फर्टिलाइजेशन के टेक्नोलॉजी के क्लिनिक्स हैं, okay, for them this is the arrangement. They will have national registry and a registration authority. Now what does this in vitro fertilization means? Okay, in vitro fertilization, what does this mean? In vitro means in lab. In vitro means in lab, outside the human body. Okay, outside the human body. Now what happens, sometimes couples they are not able to conceive. Okay, naturally they are not able to conceive, they feel some difficulty, उनको थोड़ी बहुत difficulty आती है. In this scenario, we have developed these technologies. One of such technology is in vitro fertilization. That okay, fertilization can take place in the test tube, in a lab. आपके lab में जो है वो एक तरीके से fertilization होगा, and then it can be put back into the woman's womb. लैब में फर्टिलाइज करके एग को आप वापस वुमेन के वूम में उसे लगा दोगे. ओके, दिस इज द अरेंजमेंट वी हैव. अदर अरेंजमेंट इज अबाउट टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी. नाउ यू क्रिएट एन एनवायरमेंट विद इन द लैब इटसेल्फ, but again the fertilization will be done outside the human body. Okay, so this is the IVF technology, this is the thing that we have, and you have to regulate it. आपको इसे regulate करना पड़ेगा. Okay, because there are a lot of clinics that are flourishing in India. Indian medical market, medical economy is huge. हमारी medical economy बहुत अच्छे से आगे बढ़ रही है. Okay, in line with that there is another idea that this bill, it seeks to regulate and supervise assisted reproductive technology clinics, okay, and ART banks. So if there is any misuse, you have to protect it. You have to make sure that these clinics, they are following the clean practices and ethical practices. Unethical practices ये ना करें, ये आपको make sure करना पड़ेगा. Okay, there is another angle to it. Now in vitro fertilization is being used by couples who cannot conceive. Okay, so opposition leader, they are saying that this law is Victorian. Okay, because it doesn't include lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people or single men for exercising the right, okay, right to have child. इनके राइट्स को ये रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करता है. दिस इज ओनली फॉर कपल्स. ओके, ये कपल्स के लिए तो है, बट नॉट फॉर सेम सेक्स कपल्स. नॉट फॉर सेम सेक्स कपल्स. दैट्स द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट हियर. नाउ इवन अ सिंगल मैन, okay, single man, they cannot have a child, he or she cannot have a child. Single man, okay, woman can have, so he cannot have a child with this particular technology. इस टेक्नोलॉजी से वो चाइल्ड नहीं कर सकता. That's why this law is said to be discriminatory. Okay, so this is what has been pointed out. Government has its own reasons for that. Okay, that our society is not you can say ready for these developments, ki recognizing the same sex marriages. Okay, so government says that our society is not ready for recognizing the same sex marriages. So we already know that section 377 has been decriminalized. Okay, इसको already हमने decriminalize कर दिया है, which is regarding like homosexuality. Okay, so ये important development है, but we are not recognizing same sex marriage, so still we are very far off of the reality and we are not connected with the global world, ऐसा लग रहा है, because world is moving in that direction. When you talk about human rights, it is about basic choices of your life. Okay, कि आपकी life की basic choices क्या हैं, वही तो rights होते हैं. So, but under these particular conditions, like you cannot say that we are respecting those rights. Okay, so ये चीज यहाँ पे चल रही है. So we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं. So there is another news on next page which is regarding ensure code of ethics is followed on social media. Okay, so it is about the parliamentary panel which is demanding that there should be an ethical code which should be followed on social media. देखिए, you need to understand this is the whole debate, and for this particular debate we have to look into the evolution of media here. Okay, evolution of media. Now, why social media is creating too much problem? Because it is unregulated. Okay, it is unregulated and there is no self check. कोई सेल्फ चेक नहीं है. ओके, सेल्फ चेक ऑन पीपल. ओके, इट मीन्स दैट इट इज नॉट फॉलोइंग एनी एथिकल कोड. दैट्स द इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट हियर. Now, how does we are developing this? Look at the evolution. So we have earlier we used to have paper media. Now paper media, okay, in India's case it played really important role in our freedom struggle. हमारे फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में मेजर रोल प्ले किया इन्होंने. ओके, एंड लुक एट द पीपल who were, you can say, running the paper. So even the Mahatma Gandhi, and he used to run a newspaper. Okay, so you need to understand this thing. It means that such people with ethical background, or you can say with such high ethics in their life, they used to be behind running the paper media. वो लोग पेपर मीडिया चलाते थे. ठीक है ना. इट मीन्स दे हैड अ एवोल्यूशन इन एथिक्स. उनका एवोल्यूशन एथिक्स के साथ हुआ है. ओवर द टाइम पेपर मीडिया, देन केम द टेलीविजन मीडिया. ओके, टेलीविजन मीडिया केम अगेन. दोज एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स आर दे वर फॉलोड. वो भी फॉलो करते थे. ठीक है ना. Then came the idea, the era of liberalization, privatization, globalization and money making. Okay, money making का टाइम आ गया. This created trouble. This created trouble. But if you look into the evolution of social media के evolution में this ethical development was missing. Okay, there was no gradual, you can say, coming out, or there was no gradual evolution of ethical code or something like that. Directly एक दिन Facebook आ जाता है and people start using it, and it took the shape of social media because of the interconnected digital world. So this is the problem. That's the major thing that you have to look into. So that's why government is now looking up to this, that parliamentary panel is suggesting that code of ethics should be followed in digital media space. Okay, this is not specific for the social media. They are specifically talking about digital media. Now this code of ethics is directly linked to the representation of women. Okay, please pay attention here. Representation of women से directly linked है. See, I know that right to freedom of speech and expression is important. This is also expression. Okay, right to like speech, right to, you can say, show, right to innovate. ये सारी चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. आपको अपनी क्रिएटिविटी दिखानी है एक अलग टाइप की मूवी बनाने में. But you have to understand these parts regarding the language that you are using, the type of language जो हम यूज करते हैं. ओके, इन आर मूवीज, इन आर से OTT प्लेटफॉर्म में जो जितनी भी हमारी जो वेब सीरीज आ रही हैं, सो वो हमारे लिए कंसर्न है. एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट दैट दीज कोड ऑफ एथिक्स शुड बी followed, it should be respected. Okay, so journalists, for them also there are instructions in this particular part, and this is what this parliamentary report is saying. Okay, इतना आसान नहीं होगा इसको लागू करना, because things are difficult. If you are, say, there is an angle of accountability as well as innovation, that is autonomy. Okay, you need to understand one thing. So it is like it is there on the plank. Okay, so if you are strengthening the accountability, the autonomy will go down. When autonomy will go down, it means that creativity will be impacted. ये सबसे बड़ी समस्या आती है. If you are allowing autonomy to prevail, so accountability will go down. There will be no check. Okay, there will be no check what type of content they are creating, भाई किस टाइप की मूवीज बना रहे हैं, क्या बना रहे हैं, ठीक है ना. सो इफ यू गो विद यू से अनरेगुलेटेड थिंग, तो फिर तो पॉर्न मैन्युफैक्चर करना, पॉर्न बनाना, वो भी अलाउ होना चाहिए, ठीक है ना. So you have to look into these particular parts, and I am telling you this is directly linked to the indecent representation of the woman, okay, and the way the language is being used against women. तो जो भी हमारे यहाँ पे गाने जिस टाइप के बन रहे हैं वो थोड़े से थोड़े बदलने चाहिए, okay. So these are some things that are pointing out, okay. So committee acknowledges that OTT platforms, they do offer freedom to the individual users to decide what do you want to watch. मेरी मर्जी में जो मर्जी देखना चाहूँ, okay. But that freedom should not be abridged by the heavy hand of government, okay. देखो, I told you about this thing, over regulation should not be there, ठीक है ना. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि सरकार बता दे कि ये चीज नहीं देख सकते आप. सो ओवर रेगुलेशन हैज टू बी अवॉइडेड, साइमल्टेनियसली फ्री हैंड आल्सो हैज शुड नॉट बी गिवन. तो दोनों चीजें बैलेंस करनी पड़ेंगी, एंड दिस इज व्हाट हैज बीन पॉइंटेड आउट हियर, ओके. सो अदर देन दैट देयर इज नथिंग मच हियर. नाउ सुप्रीम कोर्ट पुशेस फॉर काउंसिल ऑन जुडिशियल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. सो फंड्स कहाँ से लाओगे फंड्स के लिए? फॉर दैट दे आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन गवर्नमेंट, ओके. जुडिशरी हैज इट्स ओन इश्यूज. बिना पैसे के कुछ होता नहीं है, और फंड्स के लिए सरकार के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट रहना पड़ता है. नाउ वल्नरेबल शुड पुट ऑफ ट्रैवल. दिस इज व्हाट WHO इज सेइंग. WHO इज वार्निंग दैट डोंट गो फॉर दिस ब्लैंकेट बैन, कि पूरे के पूरे कंट्री को बैन कर दिया, ओके. दे आर सेइंग दैट हैव दिस एविडेंस इन्फॉर्म्ड रिस्क बेस्ड अप्रोच, ओके. रिस्क को ध्यान पे रखते हुए आप इन चीजों को करो, ठीक है ना. सो देयर इज अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट, दैट इज WHO मेंबर्स दे एग्री टू फॉर्ज अ पेंडेमिक अकॉर्ड दैट हाउ टू फाइट फ्यूचर पेंडेमिक्स. अब वाला तो हो गया, फ्यूचर में भी तो आने वाले हैं. दिस कोरोना इज जस्ट वन, दिस इज द न्यू, जस्ट अ बिगनिंग यू कैन से. आने वाले टाइम में बहुत होगा, द वे वी आर डिस्ट्रॉइंग द नेचुरल इकोलॉजी. सो जरूर हमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम आने वाली है, ठीक है ना. So other than that, European Union plans 300 billion euro infrastructure fund to counter China's Belt and Road initiative. Okay, so they are coming out with their own idea of infrastructure network, and they are naming it as ग्लोबल गेटवे, ओके. उसका नाम इन्होंने ग्लोबल गेटवे रखा है. सो राइट नाउ 300 बिलियन यूरो, दिस इज व्हाट दे आर saying that we are going to invest for infrastructure development. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. You cannot get completely dependent on Belt and Road Initiative. तो ये अच्छी चीज है जो चल रही है, global gateway. Okay. So Taliban urges US to release the frozen fund. Now they need money because they are in governance. और बिना पैसे के governance नहीं हो सकती, ओके. बस बट द रिलीज ऑफ फंड्स शुड बी कंडीशनल. ये चीज जो है कंडीशनल होनी चाहिए. कंडीशनल इन द सेंस, first Taliban has to recognize that they will be forming an inclusive government, okay. एक तो inclusive government बनाए सबको साथ में लेके, and other thing is about rights of the women should be respected, okay. Rights of the women, it should be respected, human rights should be respected. So these are the other conditions that should be added, and then US can talk about releasing of funds, okay. So this is the development that is taking place. Now in this particular phase, China is trying to drive Australia to its knees. This is what US is telling. So what China is doing? China is using its economy as a weapon. Okay? Economy को as a weapon use कर रहा है. कैसे केस में देखिए, Australia, they used to export meat to Chinese economy. Okay, China को meat जो है Australia पहुंचाता था, ठीक है ना. Now China is saying that I will ban the import of meat from ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ओके. हम जो है ऑस्ट्रेलिया से मीट को बैन कर देंगे, इंपोर्ट ऑफ मीट. नाउ इट विल डायरेक्टली हर्ट द ऑस्ट्रेलियन इंटरेस्ट. Other than that, Chinese companies, they are investing in Australia. So that's the other point they are highlighting, that if Australia is not mending its way and is not stopping to criticize China, so हम लोग ये सब करेंगे. So this is the thing that you should know, using your economy as a weapon. अपनी इकोनॉमी को एज अ वेपन यूज करना. एंड दिस इज व्हाट चाइना इज डूइंग विद ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ओके. सो दीज आर फ्यू थिंग्स दैट यू शुड नो. आगे चलते हैं. सो हियर वी हैव ऑन दिस इकोनॉमी पेज, ओके. सो एक्सपोर्ट्स डिप, वाइडनिंग द ट्रेड डेफिसिट टू रिकॉर्ड $23 billion, ओके. सो हमारा इंपोर्ट जो है वो बढ़ गया है, and we know because of the multiple reasons. One of the reason is regarding your crude oil, okay. One thing is that prices are also high. आपके crude oil के prices भी बढ़ गए, because of that only import is appearing to be high, ठीक है ना. Other than that your economy is moving, so ये तो होगा ही होगा, ठीक है. बट अदर देन दैट आपको अपने एक्सपोर्ट्स को बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. वी हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इज कॉम्पिटिटिव. कॉम्पिटिटिव करना पड़ेगा. क्यों, कैसे करोगे? देखिए लॉजिस्टिक्स कॉस्ट की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो दिस इज नियर अबाउट 13% ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शन. चाइना के केस में लॉजिस्टिक्स आपका जो है 9% है, इंडिया के केस में 13% होता है. सो इफ यू वांट टू मेक योर प्रोडक्ट कॉम्पिटिटिव, उसकी प्राइसेस को कम करना चाहते हो, तो प्राइस कम होगा तभी तो अच्छा एक तरीके से ऑर्डर मिलेगा. सो इफ यू वांट टू डू दैट, यू हैव टू वर्क ऑन लॉजिस्टिक्स. यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर काफी अच्छा हो, all these things. Okay, so this is the requirement, this is the requirement. ये चीज बिल्कुल बिल्कुल हमें चाहिए यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना. तो हमें बिल्कुल इसका ध्यान रखना है. ओके, अदर देन दैट देयर इज नथिंग मच, कुछ खास नहीं है यहाँ पे. ओके, so cyber attacks hit 26,000 Indian sites in 10 months. This is the important fact that we have. So you should know that there is an arrangement that we have. So you have something called CERT in. Okay, so like computer emergency response team. So like if there is a cyber attack, so this is the Indian emergency response team, Indian computer emergency response team. This is the organization which is having the prime responsibility. इनकी prime responsibility है. Okay, so this is the thing that we have. Now one student is asking a doubt. Our doubt is, sir, our country is democratic, then why our government is not recognizing same-sex marriage? They are also human beings. Okay, I do agree with you, but you need to understand. So one student is asking a doubt that we are a democratic country. Okay, कि हम democracy हैं, so हम फिर भी same-sex marriage को क्यों नहीं recognize करते? Okay, so आप सबसे पहले एक चीज समझें. Government has limitation. Okay, limitation in the sense that look at our society. सोसाइटी हैज इट्स ओन पेस ऑफ एवोल्यूशन. ओके, आपकी सोसाइटी का अपना खुद का पेस है एवोल्यूशन का. So when we are saying that recognizing the same sex marriage, we cannot undermine the present situation which is prevailing in society. So I'm asking this thing from you, that in our society, in our neighborhood, are we comfortable, are we like ready to accept people homosexuals with open arms? क्या हम readily सबको accept करेंगे, even the homosexuals in our society, in our neighborhood? Still there are question marks over it. Okay, so if your society is not recognizing it, going with the law of same sex marriage, one thing, there will be a political cost. आप इलेक्शन में हार जाओगे, ठीक है ना, political cost होगा. Okay, so this is one of the reason that your politicians, they are a bit scared to take such a drastic step. इसलिए भी उनको डर लगता है. Other thing is that it might not be good for them. Now right now they are living, okay, homosexuals, they are living under fear. Now there are further fears that they might be like the radical groups, they might start targeting them, कि radical groups जो है उनको target करना शुरू कर दें. Okay, now you don't want this thing to prevail, ये तो आप बिल्कुल नहीं चाहते हो, ठीक है ना. So that's why government is of view that allow this development to have its own pace. देखो, there used to be a time then our society was not ready with love marriages. Okay, love marriages को लेके भी society ready नहीं थी, ठीक है ना. But right now love marriages are like they are taking place in the society. People are comfortable with that, no issues. Okay, earlier there was an issue of intercaste marriages. आज की डेट में intercaste marriages हो रही हैं, ठीक है. Things are moving. This is the sign of progressive society, but it is having its own pace. अपने खुद के पेस पे हो रहा है. So I am saying right now society might not be ready for this, but 10 years 15 years down the line, when education जो है आपकी सोसाइटी में अच्छा हो जाएगा, more people are educated, more people are sensitive about these issues. Okay, आज इस लेक्चर में हम लोग बात तो कर रहे हैं सेम सेक्स मैरिजेस के ऊपर है. At least we are discussing this thing in our lecture today. Okay, अगर हम 10 साल पहले होते, say this lecture was supposed to be conducted in 2005 or 2008, okay, or 2009, ये डिबेट भी नहीं चल रही होती. You need to understand this has happened after the decriminalization of section 377, that society is carrying out open debate. At least open debate तो हो रहा है. Now this is the welcome sign. When you have open debate, definitely it means that more people are getting sensitized about these issues, and maybe in the coming time society will be ready to accept the same sex marriages. ओके, सो एट दैट टाइम गवर्नमेंट कैन टॉक अबाउट दिस लॉ। उस टाइम पे हम जो है सेम सेक्स मैरिजेस को लीगली एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं, बट फर्स्ट सोसाइटी हैज टू रेडी फॉर दैट। ओके, बिकॉज इट इज अबाउट सोशल चेंज, इट इज अबाउट चेंज ऑफ मेंटालिटी, चेंज ऑफ योर आउटलुक। वो सारी चीजें हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है ना। वो चीजें होंगी एंड डेफिनेटली वन डे वी विल गो हेड विद दिस डेवलपमेंट एज वेल। ओके, सो बट राइट नाउ टुडे वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच कि क्या ये होता है। सो दिस इज द रीजन। ओके, सो आई गेस सोनम योर डाउट हैज बीन एड्रेस्ड हियर। maybe in the coming time these things will be rectified। okay, cheeze khud ba khud hongi। so now I have to end the session। that's it for the day then। so I have another session which is due at 11 a.m। okay, so that's it for the due then, like for the day then, thank you very much।